In the deepest parts of space, Dr. Jumba Jukiba is on trial for illegal alien experiments, alongside his very own Experiment 626. The dangerous experiment escapes, soon making his way to Earth and crash landing on Hawaii. Now, the fugitive alien must avoid capture by the law, all while learning the meaning of Ohana. This is Disney's live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is Disney's latest live-action remake. Yes, you heard that right. They're remaking movies from the 2000s now. I'd almost be willing to forgive the fact that it's gone this far as long as they remake Home on the Range as a big joke. Because that movie doesn't really hold up. I don't think it ever did. But I must admit, I am a Stitch fan, and I was more than interested to see how they would adapt him into live action. Also, I'm just a big sucker for Stitch's fourth wall breaking marketing. I know I'm a sucker. I'm the biggest sucker on the planet. But man, does it get me. I don't know, just something about this poster. It warms my heart. So how does Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch stack up to the original, or more specifically, the other live-action remakes? Because let's be real, it's not going to touch the original, and it's clear they knew that and didn't try. It is definitely one of the stronger live-action remakes for no reason other than the titular characters. Lilo and Stitch themselves in the movie are just delightful. Every scene they're in, you're going to have a smile on your face. It's just so charming, and I was a big fan. However, this does feel like a sped-run version of the animated classic, which is weird because it's like 20-30 minutes longer. All the while having some pretty drastic changes to the story, some of which really aren't setting well. Now listen, if you're watching Maya Kiloa play Lilo in this film and it doesn't warm your heart, I'm gonna have to assume you're just heartless, because she is just so delightful and charming and cute as this character. They could not have picked a better live-action Lilo. And then you pair her up with Stitch, who is once again played by Chris Sanders, his creator. And they are just such a fun duo in this film. Like, anytime they are together on screen, it's just a fun movie. Nothing too emotionally deep, but these two are just so much fun to watch together on screen. And you know what? Points there. And the CGI Stitch design is great too. It's clear they did not want an ugly Sonic situation on their hands, and Disney avoided it pretty well. Sydney Ogadon plays Nani, and her scenes with Lilo are also really good too. But on the flip side of that, you have Zach Galifianakis and Billy Magnussen as Jumba and Pleakley, respectively. It doesn't surprise me that they're not in the trailer that much because they don't look like themselves for a majority of this film. Instead, they just have a hologram disguise that look like they're actors. To Billy Magnussen's credit, he does have some good Pleakley energy, even in human form. But Zach Galifianakis, on the other hand, was a miscast. They really dropped the ball on this one, in multiple ways, but we'll get to that. Even down to him not having his evil scientist Russian accent. It's just a very generic and kind of wimpy character. But here's the thing. Now, I cannot fathom how this film is 23 minutes longer. I did the math finally. It's 23 minutes longer than the original film, but with so much left out of it. So much that really added a lot of emotional depth to every character in the film. Like Stitch having this longing for a family and feeling like an ugly duckling. Or Lilo's attachment to Pudge the fish, who she believes controls the weather. The weather of which it was a big contributor as to why she's an orphan. Even Jumba's infatuation to Stitch's infatuation to having a family. It's not in the movie. The film just lacks emotional depth on almost every front. It's almost like they wanted to make a fun Stitch movie, which isn't inherently a bad idea, but taking away what makes the original film so beautiful is kinda lame if you ask me. And this becomes even more apparent when we look at the two big changes in this film. I'm just gonna come out and say it, Jumba's the bad guy. Why? It's not like the original Lilo and Stitch movie didn't have a bad guy. And it's not like the rest of the series doesn't even have a bigger bad guy. If they didn't have the budget to do Gantu, that's fine. I understand that. It's only $100 million, which is surprisingly not that much for a movie nowadays. But they didn't need to do Jumba like this. They didn't need to do that at all. In a time where we can have endearing bad guy characters like Gru and Megamind, Jumba would fit right in. So why make him a full-fledged bad guy? I cannot even begin to fathom why they did that. And again, it doesn't help that Zach Galifianakis was so severely miscast. To his credit, he's a good voice actor in films like the Lego Batman movie. He is one of the best Jokers. I'm willing to go out here and say that. But here, it's clear he has no energy. Personally, I would have used the hologram disguise to the film's benefit. By that, I mean have the Jumba we see throughout the film not actually be Jumba, but instead Hamsterville. I feel like I'm getting a little obscure on Lilo and Stitch territory, but hang with me. You want to pull the rug out from under us and have an evil Jumba? Do that. Have Hamsterville use the hologram disguise to become Jumba, take credit for his experiments, and there you go. Brilliant change. And while you're at it, have actual Jumba, who is disguised as Hamsterville, in prison, voiced by David Harbour doing the Red Guardian voice. I saved your movie, Disney. Come on. Come on. Admit it. But for some reason, that's not the only thing they change in this film. They change Lilo and Nani's relationship a little bit, specifically an aspect near the very end. I won't spoil this, but chances are you probably know what happens. Now, I can kind of understand potentially where they were coming from with this idea. If you look at Nani's whole existence in Lilo and Stitch lore, she gets left behind and forgotten a lot. So I can see why they wanted to really delve more into that and making sure, hey, just because people are far away doesn't mean they get left behind and forgotten. I can understand that. I really can. Do I think the film does it very well? Not really. I like Lilo and Nani as characters in the film, and I think the actresses are both great. It's just missing that depth again. It just feels like such a sped-run version of this classic story. So I can completely understand why people are so against it, not just because it's a live-action remake, but because it just feels so empty at times. I can't lie and say I didn't have fun watching Stitch's antics again in the year 2025. I did. But if it came down to it, I would never pick this film over the animated classic, or even the TV show, which holds up really well, actually. Remember when it crossed over with Kim Possible, The American Dragon, The Proud Family, and Recess? That was cool. And personally, I'm not entirely against a live-action Stitch family action-adventure franchise. Something tonally similar to the Sonic movies. Especially because Stitch, as a character, can be kind of busted. So a sequel featuring more of his cousins? I'm not against. But as it stands, Lilo and Stitch is, and say it with me now, not as good as the original. I hope you all enjoyed this review, and if you did, please consider hitting that like button, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified when my next review drops. Until next time, I'm Quint Dunaway, hoping you will keep it cinematic.